honestly wanted to look this up. It's a little bit more of educational, monos. I don't care about anybody's politics here.
Yeah.
Don't at me. If you think this fool was good, bad, if you think I don't care. I really don't care about your opinion. So, but if you do hate my opinion, please go into the comment section down below and leave it because it helps the algorithm. But in general, just so you know, I don't care about your political take. Alright, let's go ahead and check out this freaking dude. Basically, this dude, Maduro, apparently was, like, super, involved with, like, the cartel and, like, basically, kind of, like, even if he didn't necessarily, help them, he pretty much let them run around doing their own thing. And if it wasn't bad enough that he was doing that, right, because, like, it is what it is, he really, really liked to mess with his own people. He really kept, like, even when the people voted against him, he pretty much, like, hid, like, he like, still, he denied that the election actually didn't go in his favor, and the actual candidate, I'm forgetting her name, she actually had to flee the country with all the voter ballots to prove that she actually did win the election. And so bro was just basically a dictator. So no matter what way you put it, he was a dictator. Even if you believe this, that, or the other thing, according to Venezuelans, he was absolutely oppressive. He was a terrible leader. I'm just gonna believe the Venezuelan people on the ground, and I'm gonna play with that knowledge, right? Because I don't freaking live in Venezuela. I don't freaking know. But I'm gonna trust the people that actually live there.
He was one of the most powerful men in South America. Now he's trapped in a room smaller than a walk-in closet. Nicolas Maduro used to rule with an iron fist. Today he has to follow the strict rules of the American prison system. The prison holding the former Venezuelan president is a giant concrete block with thousands of tons of reinforced steel. He's kept in a special area where the lights never turn off and the doors only open with a remote signal. But this...
Damn, so I'm actually, like, I'm genuinely curious. Is he being placed, like, alongside a bunch of other, inmates? Or is this, like, a special cell that's like, nah, this is for, like, high-end, high-value targets or whatnot?
Isn't some jail hidden out in the desert. It's a high-tech fortress sitting right in the middle of New York City. And that choice was on purpose. The MDC Brooklyn is a city fortress where every single floor is under strict control. For Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, the security isn't just about the bars and locks. It's a many-layered cage of rules, technology, and isolation. To get why this cage is so tough, you first have to look at how the US snatched him from his palace. On January 3, 2026, the United States launched Operation Absolute Reserve, a mission that saw Special Forces soldiers...
Absolute Reserve. The thing on the bottom said absolute... What did it say? Absolute...
You first have to look at how the US snatched him from his palace. On January 3, 2026...
It says Absolute Resolve on the freaking captions.
The United States launched...
up so y'all can actually read them. I'm like on the
Operation Absolute Reserve, a mission that saw Special Forces soldiers dropped down on a military base in Caracas using helicopters. This wasn't a standard arrest. The US government didn't just want to get Maduro to go to court, they wanted to show that no amount of power could protect someone from the full weight of American law. When the dictator landed at Stewart Air National Guard Base in New York, there was no warm welcome.
And like, that's the thing, right? Like, the more you think about it, that it really was a power play. Because it really was just the US being like, yeah, I could just pick you up, bro. I don't care how fancy you think your soldiers are and how many TikTok videos you put up showing how your special forces BS is this, that, and the other. We're still the US of A, baby. We're just, like, it's, you know, they just freaking mocked their entire freaking military and snatched up their top guy. Like, if you can't even protect your top guy, what the hell is the point of all your military, right? Like, I feel like the rest of the military is useless. Kind of just, like, you know, language, but it kind of just bitched their entire military, didn't it?
Was met by police officers and federal agents, loaded onto a helicopter and flown straight to Manhattan. The charges...
If anything, it kind of makes me wonder why the hell the US doesn't just, like... I'm gonna be real, why don't they just take out a lot of these dictators and, like, terrible people from around the world?
Against him, including narco-terrorism,
like the really, really
are the
bad
reasons
ones.
for his new life in the Metropolitan Detention Center, Brooklyn. Long before Maduro ever arrived, the Metropolitan Detention Center was opened in the 1990s as a holding facility for people awaiting trial. But that doesn't mean that it's a place to kill time. It is a federal building that holds over 1,300 prisoners, including some of the most famous criminals in the world, including Sean Diddy Combs, Ghislaine Maxwell, and drug king El Chapo. The conditions inside of the facility are often harder than in permanent supermax
He got locked up with the baby oil.
prisons. The MDC has had problems with freezing temperatures, power outages, and a lack of guards. It is dark, crowded, and loud, with frequent complaints of mold, fungus, and poor quality food. In recent years, the MDC logged more than 800 maintenance requests in a single month, many for broken toilets and crumbling infrastructure. The MDC is infamous for its lengthy lockdown periods, as well as its problems with understaffing. This has made it nearly impossible to contain violent outbursts, and that has already turned deadly. In 2024, violent outbursts inside the MDC killed 2 prisoners. Before his arrest, Maduro was in Miraflores Palace, a huge presidential mansion with grand halls, manicured lawns, and opulent rooms. His new home has been described as disgusting and horrifying by prisoners and lawyers alike. In 2019,
Damn. All right, okay. I mean, honestly, that's like one of those things that like I've always sort of like wondered if, because like even after you get out of prison, not that he is right particularly, but in general, even after you get out of prison, you basically can never get a job. You're pretty much screwed for the rest of your life. So it's like one of those things where it's like I feel like even the death penalty is actually less brutal than like a life sentence.
prisoners endured a week of sub-zero
I feel like a
temperatures
life sentence is actually more cruel.
after the power was knocked out. Things got so bad, inmates sued the Bureau of Prisons, citing inhumane conditions and broken toilets. The lawsuit ended in a $10 million settlement split among about 1,600 inmates. But Maduro is not with the other prisoners. It's likely that he'll be placed in the special.
Imagine it, America's the only place where prisoners can actually sue their prison and actually win. I want you to think about that the next time you think about another country and talk shit about America.
Housing unit or SHU. He will never see a common room, a cafeteria, or a yard filled with other people. He's held in a special area, but even there, he is in a cell within a cell. This is isolation by design, and it is only the first layer of what's coming. Before a guard ever speaks to him, the building itself has already decided he will be alone. His room is a small 8 by 10 foot cell. The walls are made of reinforced concrete with steel lined with sensors. Even the slightest vibration would lock the entire prison down. The door has no bars. It isn't a movie cell block. In MDC, the door is a solid piece of steel with a small slot at waist height for food, and it stays closed 24 hours a day. It's only opened from a separate control room by someone who never sets foot in the hallway. The furniture is all bolted to the floor.
Damn. See, that's like one of those things where it's like, it sounds great up until, but then like the movie thing happens where you just gotta press one button and it unlocks everything.
Bed is a concrete block, but he won't be getting much rest. He sleeps on one pillow with a thin 1.5-inch mattress that won't catch fire. There is a metal unit that works as both a toilet and a sink. There are no mirrors, only a piece of shiny metal that shows a blurry reflection. The lighting is provided by a single light bulb hidden behind a strong cover, and it never really goes out. At night, it changes to a dim orange light. It's just bright enough for the cameras to see Maduro's face. Wake-up call is 6 a.m. on the dot, and the first thing that greets the former president is gray walls. But he probably isn't getting much sleep. He's also expected to make his bed every day after he awakes, to mop the floor and keep his toilet and sink clean.
Damn, so they actually got him doing chores in there? That sucks.
There is no escape. A network of cameras cover every inch of the prison. A special team of officers watches him at all times, when he eats, when he paces back and forth, when he sleeps. If Maduro stops moving for too long, a guard bangs on the steel door. A reminder that stillness is not allowed. Silence causes alarm. Few people are built to endure this for long, and that is the point. Time inside the MDC almost stands still. There are no clocks in the cells. Morning, afternoon, and night all blur together under the same artificial light. For Maduro, time is reduced to routines. Meals through a slot, counts, brief movements under watch. This kind of isolation isn't accidental. Inmates describe the same effect. Looping thoughts, broken sleep, and a growing sense that nothing exists beyond the concrete walls. MDC Brooklyn operates under
You see what I mean? This is why I'm telling y'all that, like, life sentences and, like, super incredibly long timeline sentences are, like, I feel like are more cruel than just unaliving them. You know, just freaking get it over with.
strictest rules in the American system. And for Maduro, these rules mean he is cut off from everyone. Maduro isn't just separated from other prisoners, he is removed from social interaction entirely. No voices, no faces, no unfiltered words.
Even if these kinds of people, and not just this guy, but like in general, even after these people get back out into society, do you really think they're going to be like in any way mentally like well to be reintegrated into society? No, of course
he
not.
sends is stripped apart before it even leaves the building. He isn't allowed to speak to other prisoners.
They're probably
Even
gonna be
his
mentally messed
defense
up.
is controlled. He can see his lawyers, but he can't touch
they
the
weren't
paper
already,
in their
right?
hands. Meetings take place in a room divided by thick, strong glass. They cannot pass papers to each other. Every document is scanned and checked by the government first. Whenever they move him to court, the streets of New York turn into a high-speed zone for the military. Even when Maduro had to leave the prison to go to the courthouse in Manhattan, security stayed tight. It was a military operation in downtown New York. A man used to convoys of luxury vehicles traveled in a line of armored cars that turned the streets of New York into a temporary safe zone. Maduro was first searched and then fitted with a black box, a heavy steel device that went over his handcuffs. Chains were wrapped around his waist, wrists, and ankles. The chains were so short that he could only take small steps. He was put into the back of an armored van with no windows. This van had its own air supply in the case of a gas attack, and it can survive a bomb or a rocket. The guards traveled in a line of cars that usually had at least...
So you telling me that the Joker's whole plan in the Batman movies wouldn't have worked?
6 black SUVs filled with
At least not in
special
modern
tactical
day.
officers. NYPD cleared the normally busy Manhattan streets, while police boats followed from the water and helicopters watched from the sky. For the people watching from the sidewalks, it looked like traffic control. For Maduro, it is a reminder that even movement happens on someone else's terms. The toughest part of Maduro's new life isn't physical, it is the shock of becoming irrelevant overnight. His decisions changed lives, determined the fate of a country. Now everything has changed. MDC doesn't care who he used to be. The most damaging part of Maduro's security isn't visible at all, it is mental. He was a man who lived like a king for years. He was always surrounded by his wife, guards, and loyal followers. In the prison, that is taken away. He no longer has access to extravagant meals. Instead, he eats basic prison meals, warm pasta, processed meat, and a piece of fruit if he's lucky. An MDC prisoner recently complained about maggots in the food. The food arrives through a slot in the door, and he never has the chance to speak to anyone.
How do they not
It's
check
one
that?
of
Or
3
did they do
meals
it on
that he'll
purpose?
receive each day that meets the 1,800 calories required by law. Prisoners are not allowed to wear their own clothes.
To be fair, right, from the sounds of it, Vitaly had a much worse experience in the Philippines. Like, this is not even close to what Vitaly was going through.
Disappointing news for Maduro and his gray Nike sweatsuit. Now he wears a blue and orange jumpsuit. His name is gone, it's replaced entirely by a number. There is no TV, no internet, and no newspapers unless they are old and they have sections cut out. He spends 23 hours a day inside his cell. His 1 hour of exercise happens in another concrete cage, a room with a fence for a ceiling that lets him hear the buzz of the city but never see it. Conditions like this are known to cause sensory collapse. Prisoners have nothing to see, touch, or hear. The constant light and the lack of human contact are meant to make a prisoner feel weak before they ever go to trial. The guards watching him are being watched too. They are changed frequently so they don't become overly friendly with him. They are checked to make sure they aren't taking any money. The risk for a guard to help Maduro is high. They would lose their job and go to jail themselves. If a judge finds him guilty, his next home will be even more lonely than this one. For now, Maduro sits alone in his cell while his lawyers fight to keep him out of a permanent tomb. They argue that he was kidnapped and that because he was a leader, he shouldn't be in trouble. But the US courts have already said that those rules don't count for the crimes he's accused of. What happens next depends on the trial. If he's found guilty, his security will get even tighter. If he's convicted, Brooklyn isn't the end of his story. It is the beginning of something far more permanent. Maduro would likely be moved.
I mean, do we really expect him not to be found guilty? Come on now.
From Brooklyn to ADX Florence in Colorado. This is the Alcatraz of the Rockies. At ADX, the cells are made of poured concrete so that the bed, the desk, and the chair are all one piece of stone. There, Maduro would spend the rest of his life seeing only a tiny sliver of the sky.
So it has a concrete table and stool, a concrete bed? That's kind of insane, actually.
The point is not comfort, it's control. From the moment the soldiers entered his home, the process was already underway, and it ends inside a concrete box under a light that never shuts off. The system doesn't care who he used to be, It doesn't threaten, it doesn't explain itself, it just slams the door shut. To understand how
Bro, at the end of the day, though, that's kind of how it has to be. There's no, bro was already elected out of office, and he still freaking, sent a manhunt after the woman who won. So at the end of the day, there's no other way to hold these people accountable. I'm glad he's absolutely locked up. He is a disgusting piece of shiz that messed up the lives of many, many Venezuelans and had a lot of them murdered. So, frankly, he doesn't deserve any better, but it is interesting that a lot of these cells are still better than the one Vitaly was in the Philippines, huh? Pretty crazy. Absolutely wild, but please, Monodachis, go drop a like, go drop a sub to the Infographic show for this amazing, amazing video. What a phenomenal video. They make some amazing content, super educational, and really cool. Go check it out. Ayoo, Monodachis! Thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find links to the videos that we reacted to today down in the description below, along with my Oshi marks. I'll see you in the next video, Monos. Goodbye, and thank you so much for swinging by. Salut!